Mayors can shape events in their city, but more often than not, it's events in our city that shape us. There are precedents and protocols sitting in the reserves of institutions just like this one that will give you about 1,000 reasons not to do something, not to speak out, not to act so quickly. And I've wrestled with, more than anything else over the last 36 hours, one fundamental question. Why is the man who killed George Floyd not in jail? If you had done it, or I had done it, we would be behind bars right now. And I cannot come up with a good answer to that question. And so I'm calling on Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman to act on the evidence before him. I'm calling on him to charge the arresting officer in this case. We cannot turn a blind eye. It is on us as leaders to see this for what it is and call it what it is. George Floyd deserves justice. His family deserves justice. The black community deserves justice. And our city deserves justice.
I was shocked and horrified by the video of George Floyd's death. It's very clear to anyone that what happened to George Floyd is wrong. The lack of humanity in the video, as I said, made me physically ill and even more difficult to understand. So I want to be very clear. My heart aches for Mr. Floyd's family and friends. Watching any of the video of what happened to George Floyd and then watching citizens come out last night, I too share that urge of just a primal scream of when you watch humanity get erased in front of you. It is almost inexplicable how you respond. I want to be incredibly careful that anything I say from this office does not jeopardize a fair journey towards justice. So while my personal emotions are real and I'll validate them, I also trust that our system of justice is predicated on exactly that, fairness for everybody involved.
This investigation must proceed with a degree of objectivity. We're not going to prejudge the facts, though the video is so clear before our eyes. Why? Because at the end of this process, we want nobody to be able to question the process. And whatever the consequences may be, they will be just, they will be fair, and they will be what the law requires. So what we're dealing with is not an isolated case. We're dealing with a systemic problem. And the investigation and the prosecution, if that happens, and the ultimate consequences, they are being handled. I'm confident that they're being handled competently. But that doesn't end it. The discharge of the officers doesn't end it. The criminal process that has begun doesn't end it. The civil rights process doesn't end it. We've got to have permanent, deep, systemic change.
And Mr. President, people are wondering if you have a comment about the events in Minnesota, please.
A very sad event. Very, very sad event.
Should the police officers be prosecuted, sir?
Well, we're going to look at it, and we're going to get a report tomorrow when we get back. And we're going to get a very full report, but a very sad day.
But before we start today, with your permission, Gov, I just want to say a few words about the horrific killing of George Floyd in Minnesota. George Floyd's life mattered. It mattered as much as mine. It mattered as much as anyone's in this country. And at least it should have. And watching his life be taken in the same manner, echoing nearly the same words of Eric Garner more than 5 years ago, "I can't breathe," is a tragic reminder that this was not an isolated incident, but a part of an ingrained systemic cycle of injustice that still exists in this country. It cuts at the very heart of our sacred beliefs that all Americans are equal in rights and in dignity. And it sends a very clear message to the black community and black lives that are under threat every single day. And I'm glad the mayor of Minneapolis stepped up right away in the police department and took swift action to fire the officers involved, but I don't think that's enough. They have to be held more fully accountable, including the FBI investigation and an independent Department of Justice civil rights investigation, because we have to get to the root of all this. We have to ensure that the Floyd family receive the justice they're entitled to. And as a nation, you know as well as I, you know better than I, we have to work relentlessly to eradicate these systemic failures that inflict so much damage on not just one family, one community, but on the people of color all across this nation. And I don't think we can move forward unless we take aggressive action to rip out the insidious race-based inequalities that corrupt every part of our society.